I think the Russo brothers are as frustrated as I am with the lack of Marvel MCU announcements. So they gave us another Secret Wars tease. Let's break it down. What's up, everybody? It's Josh. Welcome back to the channel. Smash that like button. Let's get into this. I'm very happy to be doing this video. Y'all know I'm real hype on Secret Wars coming to the MCU. I think it's the next big Infinity War Endgame level event they are working towards, and we got another feather in the cap of that theory, baby. This came from an interview the Russo brothers did with Bro Bible, and I saw this interview pop up on the Direct. I'm going to read a little bit from the article on the Direct, and then we're going to break down what it means, and baby, am I excited to get into that. Okay, it says here, in a recent interview with Bro Bible, Marvel directors Joe and Anthony Russo went into depth about their journey through directing 4 MCU films and what went into making some of the most successful blockbusters of all time. Article writer Eric Italiano, so bad with names, dude. Talked to the brothers about what it would take to bring them back to the franchise. He said, "Now, I don't want to hound you guys about a return to the MCU because I know you get that a lot, but you did once say that if there was a story that could bring you back, it would be Secret Wars. In fact, I actually just started reading it last month. Outside of the job itself, what is it about that story that appeals to you guys?" Joe and Anthony gave these responses to this massive question about the Secret Wars storyline. Joe said, "You know, I read that when I was 10 or 11, and it was the scale of getting all the heroes together. It was one of the first major books to do that. That was really event storytelling to me at its finest. And what happens when you put all of those personalities together? I also like the idea of villains having to team up with heroes. Anth and I like complicated relationships between heroes and villains. We like villains who believe they're heroes in their own stories. So it's all sort of built into this notion of Secret Wars. To execute something on the scale of Infinity War was directly related to the dream of Secret Wars, which is even larger in scale." Anthony then says, "It would be the biggest movie you could possibly imagine. So that's what really excites us about the story. The ambition of it is even bigger than the ambition of the Infinity Saga." Okay, let's get into the juicy stuff, baby. Going right into speculation town. Take my hand, I'm yanking you in. In April of this year, I did a video about my Secret Wars theory, and I'm going to link that video for you guys in the description. Go check it out when you're done with the current video. But this was an interview that was done around that time in April where the Russo brothers admitted to comicbook.com that they still take monthly meetings with Marvel Studios. Now, I'll summarize some of the stuff that I go over in that video, but there's a lot of reasons why I believe this theory. Number one, the Russo brothers have teased this at this point 3 separate times. This makes the 3rd major interview where they tease Secret Wars, where they talk about how Secret Wars would be the only movie that would bring them back to the MCU. And another thing that makes me think that this is happening is because I was literally told by Marvel employees at New York Comic-Con last year that this was indeed on the table. This is definitely what Marvel wants to do for their next big event. And again, there's another piece here that pulls it all together, and this would be some of the things that Charles Murphy has said. He had that famous pinned tweet with the secret emoji, you know, next to the date in 2024. And when I even interviewed Charles Murphy on our channel, he did reference that post and was talking about the context of Secret War. Now, this newest interview here does add an interesting piece to the puzzle because what he is talking about, specifically Joe, is talking about the crazy ideas of all of these characters coming together. I found it fascinating that he talked about how the ambitions of Endgame and Infinity War were literally based on the dream of eventually doing Secret Wars. And it just makes sense. That is the logical next step for that kind of an ensemble film. Infinity War and Endgame are like some of the most ambitious movies you've ever seen. It's such an epic thing that they did with that part 1 and part 2 1-2 punch of a film that capped off that 10-year run of building up to Thanos. It's absolutely insane. And if you just look objectively out there in the comic book landscape, there are only a couple of stories and potential buildups that could match it, Secret Wars being one of them. And I find it interesting that Joe knew that and was thinking about that as they were making Infinity War and Endgame. Now, the other side of this that's crazy is him talking about the heroes and the villains coming together. And we can see in the evidence of what is coming in Phase 4 that Marvel is really focused on bringing in a ton of different villains. I mean, Baron Zemo is coming back. There's a lot of rumors of Namor coming in. There's talk of MODOK coming in. Magneto's eventually coming. Doctor Doom is eventually coming. Some of the major hitters out there are coming to the MCU. And so it would stand to reason that the reason some of this stuff is being set up is so that we have these compelling villains that then will have to work with some of the heroes in an eventual Secret Wars, likely against Doctor Doom. And we've even recently heard about how Marvel Studios wants to bring back Thanos himself. And remember what I said in that video, guys. There's only a couple of different ways you can bring Thanos back and not have him completely take over the narrative and overshadow all of the other characters. Secret Wars is one of those ways. I don't need to retread things I've said a million different times on the channel, but if you really think about it, the breaking of the timelines with the Infinity Stones, the fact that we've heard that there are theoretical physicists coming in to help Marvel figure out things in the Miss Marvel show, in the Loki show, all of this crazy stuff that's coming in Phase 4. And I always remember back to the Michael Douglas comments where he was talking about how the quantum realm will play a big role in all of the characters' stories moving forward. It just really seems like that's way too close to Jonathan Hickman's time run out story that leads into his version of Secret Wars. And yeah, just being real with you, I do stand by what I said in the hook of this video. I do think the Russo brothers are sitting back and getting a little frustrated like we are about the complete lack of hype and information coming out from Marvel Studios. I can almost feel the Russo brothers being like, don't forget about Marvel, guys. Marvel's awesome. And we're heading towards Secret Wars, which I do feel like if they would just say that, it would bring all of the hype back, man. Like, you know, there are people that are critical of Phase 4. They're not super into Black Widow. They're not super into Eternal, Shang-Chi, etc., etc. And I think all Marvel would have to do is explain, we are headed towards Secret Wars. And that is what we're building towards. You're going to want to watch all of these movies and see how all of this builds towards that outcome. I think that will help. When they spoiled Thanos at the end of Avengers, it took things to another level. It made us all realize, wow, we're building towards something epic here. Now, you could say, and I hear some of you in the comments saying, Josh, that's already implied. Obviously, Marvel's going to head towards something big and epic in the future. And while I agree with you, the normies don't know that. The normies have no idea what's going on. We're all taking a freaking breath, taking a step back after Endgame. We have no information. So yeah, I do think the Russo brothers might be seeing all of this and being frustrated. I do think it's possible that's the reason they gave this interviews question the way that they did, because this is stuff we haven't heard them say before. But that's the report. Russo brothers teasing Secret Wars yet again, and my speculation that it is 100% happening, that they are meeting with Marvel monthly to figure out how all of these pieces are fitting together in Phase 4 and 5, because they know they are eventually going to be picking up all of these different threads in their overly ambitious, absolutely absurd undertaking with the Secret Wars movie, which could actually be 3 movies. They could literally do a Battleworld trilogy, and I'd be there for it, dude. It would be epic. But those are my thoughts. I want to know what you think in the comment section below. And now let's shout out David Esquire. Yes, indeed, the Doctor from Mandalorian Season 1 was Dr. Pershing. And now let's ask another nerd card question before we get out of here. I want to know what change to the Spider-Man costume was made during the original Secret Wars comic book run. Answer that question in the comment section below. If you like this video, you might like some of the streams that we're doing over on our live streaming channel all the flipping time. In fact, we're doing so much over there that we've decided to launch channel memberships to give people cool emojis and access to behind the scenes streams. Again, if you like this content and you want to support us, check out the live streams, join the memberships today. It definitely helps us out. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.